Good morning. Welcome to Philosophy Live. And thank you for joining on a Thursday. Those of you here, well done for remembering we're on a Thursday, because today is World Philosophy Day. So it's a good day to be having a Philosophy Live. Do, as always, let me know if you can hear me. That's particularly important. And put in the comments who you are, where you're listening from. That's always good to know. I'm near Edinburgh, a town called Linlithgow, where I think it was frosty overnight, but now it's raining. So we'll be starting shortly. And the topic today is a rather interesting French philosopher, Simone Weil. There's some doubt as to how to pronounce her name, but the consensus seems to be Weil as opposed to Vi, so that's what I'll use. And we'll be starting shortly. Can't see any comments yet. Oh yes, Christy Lambie. Oh good, thank you. Just before I started, I noticed I was muted. I'm not sure how that happened, so I'm glad to hear that you can hear me. Good morning, Corinne from Essex. And Janine, Halifax. Welcome. I see it is past, so I think we'll begin. So good morning, or whatever time of day it is for you, and welcome to Philosophy Live. I'm Graham Blackbourn from the Scottish branch of the School of Philosophy and Economic Science in Edinburgh. Thank you for joining me, especially since today is World Philosophy Day, which is why for once we're presenting Philosophy Live on a Thursday. My subject for today was a rather remarkable woman, though one difficult to characterise in a short talk, Simone Weil. Weil was born in Paris in 1909 into a secular Jewish home, and she was brought up in a comfortably well-off family setting, being well-educated and extremely bright from a young age. She exhibited an unusual empathy towards other people's suffering. When she was just 6, she refused to eat sugar as a mark of solidarity with the troops on the Western Front. This feeling led her during her teens and 20s, here's a picture of her as a young woman, into political activism, at first in Marxist circles, though she gradually became critical of Marxism, thinking that elite communist bureaucrats could be just as exploitative as the worst capitalists. Weil is said to have arranged for Leon Trotsky, while he was in Paris in 1933, to stay in her parents' apartment, although she was very critical of some of his ideas, and he attacked some of her thinking, which she'd published in trade union journals. She took time off from her occupation as a teacher to work in factories, to gain some appreciation of the life of the workers there. Although professing pacifism, during the Spanish Civil War, Weil joined the Republican faction and was keen to engage in active combat, although she was very short-sighted and apparently rather clumsy. Her comrades did their best to keep her away from the action. After a while, she scalded herself badly by stepping into a pot of cooking oil, and she went to Italy to recuperate. Later, during World War II, Weil moved with her family, first to Marseille, and later via Morocco to America. However, she soon returned to London to work with the Free French under General de Gaulle. It seems likely that in 1943 she was recruited by the Special Operations Executive with a view to sending her back to France as an undercover wireless operator. However, her health, which had never been good, declined, and she contracted tuberculosis. She died in August 1943 and was buried in Ashford, Kent. She was just 34. Weil had wanted to share the privations of her compatriots in occupied France by refusing to eat any more than she thought they had to eat, and the tuberculosis, together with malnutrition, probably led to her death. As a teenager, Weil had declared herself an agnostic, though she later wrote that she had always had a Christian outlook, being drawn to the idea of loving one's neighbour. She was educated in philosophy, with particular emphasis on the writings of such figures as Plato, Marcus Aurelius, Spinoza, and Kant, and she wrote a dissertation on Descartes before working as a teacher. In her 20s, Fay was increasingly drawn to a mystical form of Christianity, following a series of religious experiences. Firstly, when she was moved by the beauty of villagers singing hymns in a procession. Then, in an experience of religious ecstasy while in a church in Assisi where St. Francis had prayed, during which, she later wrote, she had prayed for the first time. And finally, while reciting a poem of the English metaphysical poet George Herbert, Love, No. 3, after which Fay wrote, Christ came down and took possession of me. But Fay's Christianity was not of a conventional kind. She declined to be baptized and remained interested in other religions, including Hinduism, especially as it appears in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, and Buddhism, and the mystery religions of Greece and Egypt. It has been said that Plato was her master, and she is sometimes referred to as a Christian Platonist, although the influences on her were wider. She wrote, Greece, Egypt, ancient India, the beauty of the world, the pure and authentic reflection of this beauty in art and science, have done as much as a visibly Christian to deliver me into Christ's hands as his captive. I think I might say even more. While working for de Gaulle in London, Weil wrote a major work intended as a guide to how France might develop after the war, entitled L'Enracinement, or The Need for Roots. It was doubtless more idealistic, even mystical, than de Gaulle was looking for. He is said to have read little of it and to have called Weil crazy. But later in 1952, when the book was published in English, the poet T.S. Eliot wrote a preface in which he called Weil a woman of genius, of a kind of genius akin to that of the saints, although he added that a potential saint can be a very difficult person. I suspect that Simone Weil could be at times insupportable. She was evidently a complex character. In this book, Weil wrote about what she called the rootedness of a nation as forming a bridge between the reality of human society, with its material and historical background, and supernatural justice. They argued that participating in the life of a community and having a sense of place provides the stability which allows the development of the individual towards eternal values. The material can lead to the transcendent. They gave the example of a prison wall which, while separating, can also provide a means of communication by knocking on it. One aspect of the spiritual life which they emphasized, perhaps above all else, was the power of attention. To Weil, attention is not an activity, but what she calls a negative effort. It involves the removal of any effort, will, or intent. She says that attention is creative, but at the moment when it is engaged, it is a renunciation. In a longer passage, Weil writes, most often, attention is confused with a kind of muscular effort. If one says to one's school pupils, now you must pay attention, one sees them contracting their brows, holding their breath, stiffening their muscles. If after 2 minutes they're asked what they have been paying attention to, they cannot reply. They've been concentrating on nothing. They have not been paying attention. They've been contracting their muscles. Attention consists, she continued, of suspending our thought, leaving it detached, empty, and ready to be penetrated by the object. Above all, our thought should be empty, waiting, not seeking anything, but ready to receive in its naked truth the object which is to penetrate it. Weil emphasizes that this pure, empty attention, in which we devote ourselves entirely to the object of our attention, is not easily attained. Yet, she writes, even if our efforts of attention seem for years to be producing no result. One day, a light which is in exact proportion to them will flood the soul. Every effort adds a little gold to a treasure which no power on earth can take away. If we empty ourselves through this negative effort of attention, according to Weil, then what we're attending to, the other person, say, is seen in their full reality, rather than overlain by one's own will and ego. Then whatever is afflicting them will be seen just as if it is afflicting us. One will truly come to love one's neighbour as oneself. To Weil, the end of pure attention is pure love. Attention, to Weil, also reveals the beauty of the world and can be our connection with the divine. She writes, "We must have faith that the universe is beautiful on all levels, and that it has a fullness of beauty in relation to the bodily and psychic structure of each of the thinking beings that actually do exist, and of all those that are possible. The love of this beauty proceeds from God dwelling in our souls, and goes out to God present in the universe." Elsewhere, Weil called attention waiting on God. It is, she said in one of her letters, the rarest and purest form of generosity. So perhaps we can attempt to discover this joy, generosity and love that comes, according to Weil, by emptying ourselves and practicing simple attention. So here's how philosophy might help us today on this World Philosophy Day. And thank you. Philosophy Live will be on again next Friday at the same time on both Facebook and YouTube. We hope to see you then for a new philosophical gem. Thanks again. Have a good day. And when it comes, enjoy your weekend.